Turkey hunting is for the birds and everything else. Everything affects turkeys. There are 10,000 theories floating around out there about why turkey populations seem to be down across the range. Chances are, most of them are correct. The extent of their relevance is going to vary greatly based on specific location. Ohio seems to be a fairly good representation of the country, and I hunt there, so I'm going to be using it as an example. The turkey population in Ohio exploded in the late 1990s. Now the numbers seem to be trending downward. Let's look at things that hurt turkeys. Wet, cold nesting conditions, predation, poor nesting habitat, certain farming practices. I can find two that have changed significantly over the last 20 years. The first is a bad run of cold, wet springs. This can hurt nesting success. But by far the biggest thing that I can point to would be predation. In the last 20 years, coyote numbers have grown by leaps and bounds. Raptors of many types are all much more common. I'm talking about red-tailed hawks, sharp-shinned hawks, Cooper's hawks, broad-winged hawks, great horned owls, barred owl, and so on. Now we have a couple of new ones to add on the list. We have black bears and bobcats. Of the two, bobcats are the biggest concern for turkeys. Bobcats are killing machines, and they're coming back in a big way and fast. 20 years ago, I heard one for the first time. Now we regularly see them on trail cameras and in person. I have one particular trail camera picture with 3 young cats in it. Don't forget about the fox and mink. Even with all of that, we haven't talked about nest predation from raccoons, skunks, possums, or black rat snakes. Likely the worst predators for the turkey are coyotes, bobcat, fox, raccoon, skunk, and possum. The good news is all but the bobcat are legal to hunt and trap in Ohio. I have my fingers crossed for a limited trapping season of bobcat in the next few years. Part of the problem is fur prices have been so low for the last 20 years that these predators produce very little financial gain to make them worth targeting. You basically now have an entire generation of outdoorsmen who have never set a trap, and I hate to admit that I'm one of those. I hope to change that in the near future. From a personal standpoint, I have to say that turkey hunting is less fun for me over the years. I really enjoy when the toms are vocal. It gives you confidence that they're around and gives you an approximate location so you can get into position and get a plan together to try to call one of those birds in. Every year, though, the woods seems to get quieter and quieter. I don't blame this 100% on declining numbers. Please consider subscribing. While there may be 20 to 30% less turkeys in the woods, and that's debatable and area specific, my theory is that humans are not the only predators listening for the birds. Most of us that have hunted turkeys for any length of time have noticed predators coming to our turkey calls. As dumb as turkeys are, there's no doubt in my mind that they have changed their vocal behavior based on opening their beak. It brings in a coyote, fox, or bobcat a large percentage of the time. I remember calling in one tom that came in silently. While I was waiting on a good shot, he let out this gobble that was cut down to like 1/3 of a normal gobble. I just got the feeling that he started to gobble, but as soon as he started, he immediately knew he was going to regret it and stopped short. It didn't really matter though. He moved a couple more steps into an opening and landed right next to the mashed potatoes. If I'm lucky, I'll hear a gobble or two while they're still on the roost and a gobble or two when they hit the ground, and that's usually followed by silence. It doesn't help the fun factor that the season basically starts at the end of the peak breeding season. 2 or 3 weeks before the season, the birds are way more vocal. I'm looking forward to taking my son out for the youth season that starts a week earlier. It might actually be exciting again. Don't let any of this discourage you from giving turkey hunting a try. While this may not be the good old days, there's still a robust population of wild turkeys to try to fool into your best calls. Just be ready to shoot one of those coyotes looking for the same meal you are.